Welcome from the family, and we're back with another video, but today will be a special video because it is our first farm to table chef interview, and then we have the interview with the gardener and the front of house manager.
So today we're going to be interviewing with Robert, who's the front of the house manager, and then we're going to be working with Billy, who is the farmer, and then we're going to do an interview with Chef Dustin.
And we'll take you throughout the rest of our journey for today. Thank you.
All right, my name is Billy. I'm the grower at the farm at South Mountain. This is what we call a soil and seed garden. I'll take you for a little walkthrough. So here we have our Armenian cucumbers growing with some hyacinth beans, little companion planting. We've got some purple tomatillos over here next. This is the start of our red okra.
Which one's the okra? This?
Yeah, these are little baby okra. So these will be about this tall in like 3 months.
Wow, okay.
We've got some no chase zucchini. This is Aramato basil. It's like a serrated purple leaf basil. They use this for garnishes in the restaurant.
Oh, wow. Can I smell it?
Yeah.
I can touch it. It's so soft.
Some watermelons just starting. We're gonna have those ready for the fall. Some mammoth sunflowers coming up. These are Dunja zucchinis.
What are those?
It's just like a desert zucchini. They won the AAS, which is the All-American Selections. So they're a really good flavor. They grow really well in our climate.
Are they still the regular
Yeah, they're just gonna be a green zucchini.
green? Okay.
Yeah. This is our Genovese basil. It's your standard Italian basil.
Who doesn't love basil?
This will be our butterscotch melons when these come in here. They
What are
start
those?
flowering. So it's like a cream colored melon. It's got like a butterscotch kind of flavor to it. A little less sweet than most melons, more like a custardy type feel.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. This is corn. We're growing cucumbers with the corn, so as the corn gets taller, the cucumbers will kind of climb up it and use them as a trellis.
Beautiful.
There's some more Dunja zucchinis. You can see they're already started to make little zucchinis too.
Oh my gosh. Beautiful.
They're really good, just fresh and raw like that.
Just like this?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Not like
Yeah.
something you buy
It's
in
like
the
a-
store.
Cucumber, but not really.
Usually, you know, zucchini is something people cook, but when you grow stuff in a garden like this and it's also fresh, you
It's
know, you
super
can eat
fresh.
so many things raw that you didn't really eat
No,
raw
you could.
before.
Yeah. And it's
Uh,
kind of sweet.
Yeah. These are going to be
tender.
butternut squash, some shishito peppers,
I love shishito peppers.
another corn and cucumber combination. We do Armenian cucumbers because they set flowers in higher temperatures than other cucumbers. So when we have a 116-degree day, we don't lose all our fruit.
Oh wow. Okay. Is it hard to really figure out the science basically between like your temperatures, especially being in Arizona?
Yeah, and then like the information that Arizona uses for gardening doesn't necessarily apply to the microclimate we have here at the farm because of all the trees and just the way that the environment is here. We can get away with things that they say you can't get away with in Arizona.
Understood. Okay. That's very cool.
These are zinnia flowers, delicata squash, some hibiscus.
Hibiscus is beautiful.
These are little kumquat trees. We got a bunch of little fruit on there. They'll be turning orange here soon. As well as our caper vines.
This is
Caper.
beautiful.
We've
Look
got
at them.
Caper berries coming in.
That's awesome. I love this.
These are a fun squash. They're a native squash from Native Seed Search. They're called Tarahumara.
Oh yeah, I've heard of those. Okay.
It's one of the squashes in Arizona that gets kind of renowned for its flavor. Most of the stuff that grows well here, it does well. It's not necessarily grown for the flavor, but the
Okay.
Tarahumara has a really good flavor. These are Tatsume squashes. These are like a Mexican zucchini. They grow rounded though. You can see little guys started over here. They're like a oblong zucchini. They say it's a better flavor though.
And are those like the blossoms? Just standard blossoms?
Yeah,
right?
you can use these. They're a little smaller. We like to use the zucchini blossoms. So
right.
Like the Dunja or the Noche because they have a wider flower and you can stuff them easier.
Oh, okay.
These will be carrots and green onions and turnips and everything we just planted here isn't quite up yet.
How long does that take for it to sprout?
Well, I mean, if you look close, it is up. You just can't really see it from afar. Just little babies just coming in. They still have to get weeded and thinned out, spaced properly.
Okay.
So these got planted on Saturday.
Nice, okay. So how long have you been working here?
Well, that's a great question. I've been the grower for, this is my second year, almost 2 years.
Okay.
I started working on this property in 2011, but I was like the alcohol manager, set up weddings, kind of did some odds and ends.
Oh, nice, okay.
So I've been here for a while, but this is kind of my new baby.
Okay, okay. Very cool.
So our goal is to set up like a little fall festival in here and kind of sell pumpkins around Halloween.
Come back for Halloween, that'll be great.
Yeah, I think it will. There's all kinds of different pumpkins in here. Sugar pie pumpkins are more of a culinary pumpkin for pies and stuff. Jack B. Little's like your standard little ribbed pumpkin, kind of more, you leave it whole as decoration for fall. Halloween pumpkins, those are like carving pumpkins, big ones. Mongogo de Guatemala, it's like a Guatemalan native pumpkin.
Okay.
They're kind of green with white stripes, they're pretty cool looking. We're also doing some basket gourds in here. Weeby Little is like a little painting pumpkin, like
yeah.
smooth surface.
Okay.
So we're trying to get like all of the fall stuff, all of the fun Halloween deco, kind of all in the same spot.
Crazy how many pumpkins there are, right?
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
These are our rockstar pumpkins. These ones you can grow, they say 400-pound pumpkins with them. So.
What?
I would grow one just to see.
We do start all of our plants from seed. Even our transplants we have in our little back shade house as well. So we start from scratch. They're first little babies, and then they move to a bigger container, and then they move straight to the ground.
Wow.
But we're trying to be as sustainable as possible. We save our own seeds and then try to use those from the year before.
Wow.
Trying to get stronger plants that way. Our soil comes from a place called Tanks,
Okay.
which is out of Tucson.
Oh, okay.
And they deliver in a big tote like this, and we just use it as we need.
Thanks,
They're
Tanks.
organic, OMRI certified, local. We like local.
Of course. That's what makes your guys' business so unique.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
You literally like, it's not a shoulder.
Yeah.
Good morning.
They saw us. They said good morning. So these chickens is just for eggs?
Just for eggs. Twice a day we get about a dozen eggs from them, so they are constantly busy. They also eat all of the scraps from the restaurant, like so you can see some of like the stalks of corn and little leftover citrus peels outside of melons, things like that. So they're getting all of the secondhand stuff from the restaurant, and then when we rake this, it goes in our compost pile, so they're helping make our compost more rich as well.
Constant recycling. So I heard about this the other day, and I don't know if it's real, obviously. Do chickens eat protein of any variety?
They will eat their own eggs.
Really?
And once that starts, they pretty much are addicted to it. So
Oh, they are? That's
yeah,
amazing.
you gotta prevent that from happening.
Oh, you do have to. Okay.
Yeah.
Because too much is not good
If
either.
you don't take the eggs out and they break one by accident, they'll
shell.
eat it just because it's like something that's new in their environment and they want to peck at it and they try to eat it. So you got to take the eggs out twice a day in our experience, otherwise they will start eating them. And then you have to remove that chicken.
So do you guys ever end up with chicks in the eggs?
No. We take the eggs out frequently enough. There are blood spots occasionally because we do have one rooster and he'll fertilize, an egg every once in a while.
Really? Okay.
So if you didn't want that risk, you could easily just get rid of the rooster and there'd be no chance of it.
So that we can hold it. Oh. Can you do that on camera, Sam? One more time. Go. For the fans. Do it. One time. Yeah.
She's a special girl. She was born with some deformities, so she gets to hang out outside the coop and just be a real chicken.
She's so beautiful.
Okay, so we had Billy walk us through the farm today. We learned a lot about harvesting the fruits and the plants and everything, what you do at a farm. And we went through the chicken coop, we went through the shade room?
Yeah, the shade house where we do our
Shade
seedlings.
house. So it was really nice, and then they get their soil. Their soil from Tucson, which I'm from, so that's pretty interesting.
We want to thank you for taking the time to walk us through this farm, show us everything that you guys are growing. The fact that you do it all yourself is super awesome, and it's pretty inspiring because there's not a lot of people you get to meet face to face that are behind all the food and all the pretty things that are created at this place. So, I mean, super appreciative of it.
Well, I appreciate being in the spotlight for once. It's usually not a glamour job.
So I think the best place to start is at the entrance of Quiessence. Obviously we're here at the farm south mountain, but this is kind of where you come in. This is your first impression of the restaurant, which is, I think, so great. We start with some of this mature landscaping and the green grass. Obviously being here at the farm south mountain, there's a lot of greenery. Right here is what will be our herb garden. So joining us in a couple weeks, you'll pass all of our herbs that we'll be using, our edible flowers, nasturtiums will be popping up kind of behind you. It's really a beautiful, beautiful area to enter the restaurant. So we'll come in through here. Flags down. Under this trellis. This is where you know you're in the right spot when you see this sign. So the first impression, usually, when you're joining us for the first time, you're joining us in the evening. We open at 5 p.m. So usually the sun's a little bit lower, a little bit darker. There's these great lights in the trees. There's the Edison bulbs hanging from the side of the home. And we have the brick oven over there as well. So that's usually lit. It just provides great ambiance, and it's a great way to kind of introduce yourselves to the restaurant. But as we walk in, we pass an ash tree. And we have a little Arizona ash right here as well, but this was probably pretty close to originally planted. And it's kind of cool here too, because you get a good vantage point of the home. On the left-hand side, you'll see a little bit steeper roof, and on the right-hand side, it's a little bit shallower. So they actually added on in the 1950s, and that's what you see on the right-hand side. But 1928, early 1930s is when this was probably built. So it was originally just a very small home. We'll see a little bit more of that as we come inside. But what we're looking at right now is actually the back of the home. So this would have been the back patio and the backyard. Back in 1928 up until the 80s, you would have looked straight this way to a bunch of pecan trees. So it was a 200-acre pecan orchard. It would have gone pretty far south as well, maybe a little bit north too, but a lot of pecan trees, and that's what we have still on the property as well, are those original pecans. The home has been, of course, repurposed to be a restaurant, but you can kind of see some of the original structures. So this would have been the kitchen window. You can see where they filled in a window right here as well, but this would have been the back patio, or the back porch right here. So there would have been a door right here that would lead you out into the backyard, which is really nice.
It's so beautiful in here.
Oh, isn't it great? So So you'll see this fireplace as well. And this is a non-functioning fireplace. I think they used it a couple years back, but it just got really, really hot in here. But the original kitchen and dining room. Down at the end of the hallway are what would have originally been the bedrooms, which are now our offices. And of course, our original restroom back in that corner as well. But really, it worked out well to turn it into a restaurant. We couldn't have asked for anything better. And this would have originally been the front door too. So we're coming out to what would have been the front patio and front driveway. We'll see outside in just a minute, but you can kind of
So
see.
this would have been what?
The original front patio, and watch your step as you come down here, because this would have been the front porch, so you would have stepped down into the front yard. But you can see kind of the original siding on the house, which is really cool. Behind these curtains are windows, and then we'll come outside here, and you can see what would have originally been the front yard. So you have a good chance to see how does that original wraparound driveway would have come this way and back out that gate too. This fantastic little, I think it's a mulberry tree, drops these little fuzzy caterpillars in the fall or in the spring, which is really cool. But I mean, a beautiful home. So you kind of on the opposite end, you could walk in this direction as well and kind of walk in as the people who used to live here would walk into their home as they arrive.
So we just got our tour from Robert, and I really enjoyed the whole concept. Is like amazing. I love it. Like I would literally come back here sometime soon.
Good.
I plan.
We really appreciate you taking the time to show us this amazing property. This is super inspirational, and the fact that you get to be part of this every day is amazing. I mean, it's priceless, and there's something to truly cherish and value about that. And would you help us by taking us to see Chef Dustin so that we can start our interview?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Thank you so much.
So was it hard for you to bring the concept of a prefix menu slash comfort food?
You know, as far as like doing the prefix menu, we always had the option of prefix menu and the a la carte menu during the week and on the weekends. So it was nice that the diners had the options. We went to all prefix menus on the weekends last season, so that was a little bit of a challenge because you didn't have the option of a la carte, you know what I mean? So it was more of a 2.5 to 3 hour experience for everybody. It was definitely that much more of a focused dining experience. So that at first, the transition was a little difficult, but once the diners picked up on the quality and the more focused of an experience, things just kind of unfolded in the right way.
Sounds fun. Like I always wanted to do a prefix menu too,
Right.
but I think it's kind of hard. But I guess if I were to like really put in the work, it would turn out good.
Yeah, I mean, when you do the prefix menu, you know, like I said, they're limited on their options, so it has to be focused on those dishes, and you have to make sure that it's hitting all the bells and whistles on it. I really do like it because, like I said, it takes the synergy of the kitchen and it hones it in on more selected dishes as opposed to a bigger a la carte menu. So you see those dishes shine that much more. And then when you do have them on the a la carte options, it just seems like the quality's been enhanced because they've had so much focus.
Oh, we go next? Okay. Outside of the kitchen, what are your hobbies?
Well, definitely gardening is a hobby that I've fallen in love with over the last like 4 to 5 years. And it was something that I just kind of started off slowly. Actually, it kind of dated back to culinary school, which was about 10 years ago. But when I went out to New York for my culinary program, I didn't really have too many friends out there. I didn't really have too many interactions going on, so I started a little garden outside of my balcony.
That's awesome.
And that's kind of like where it started. And yeah, I just kind of fell in love with it as far as just being able to open up your window, clip some fresh herbs, and then kind of bring it into your kitchen and cook with it. That was something magical for me. So now, you know, we have a garden on the property, which is about 1 acre in size. It's 5 plots. And I have a grower that is absolutely fantastic, but as far as a chef being able to control what seeds we put into the ground, that's a dream come true. So that is a lot of fun. And you know, myself, the guys in the kitchen, you know, the guys in the front of the house, and the customers, you know, we can all appreciate that.
Absolutely. Where did you go to culinary school?
Well, the program was the French Culinary Institute,
Okay.
but they had a side program that they started about 12 years ago, and that was called the ICA, Italian Culinary Academy. And that was like a total immersion program. It was only about a year long, and it was 4 months in New York, and then it was 8 months in Italy. So that was great. I mean, it was kind of like a vacation as well. But I was just so into the culinary world that it was so fun and entertaining, but at the same time that just enhanced the educational part of it. So that's where I really like figured out that my passion and like the business was kind of coming together.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Amazing.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, how did you get into this industry?
Well, it started with my grandpa, who started Capistrano's Bakery, and it was actually a deli/bakery, and it was right there in Tempe where I grew up, right off of Southern and Mill. And I just have a lot of fond memories of walking in there, just having some like fresh sliced deli meats, and then smelling the fresh baked breads. That was something that really kind of like sticks in my mind as far as like one of those potent culinary memories. My mom was a very big part of that bakery too, and that's actually where she started her catering company, was out of that bakery. And I'm really inspired by my mom, because I remember her kind of starting it from scratch. And she was answering the phone, taking corporate drop-off orders. She was washing the lettuce and making the sandwiches, getting ready to throw everything in the van and go make the delivery. And it was quite impressive to see her start there and to see the empire that she's really built over the years.
That was beautiful. Is it hard to have a personal life outside of the kitchen?
Oh, that is a great question. Honestly, I don't think I've ever been asked that question, but it really is. That is something that I've been trying to balance out. Actually, this last summer, I just had a baby. So
congratulations.
Thank you so much. He's about a month old, and that has really, been quite the transition, because my personal life was really put to the side, and I was focused on the business in a big, big way. And if I was going to give any, young chefs advice, I would say that you need to keep that balance, you know what I mean, as you're making your way through the culinary scene. For me, it wasn't really like that at first, but I definitely felt some of the repercussions later on. So now I'm a little bit more focused on my personal life. I'm pretty well established in the kitchen, and I have a great team, so I'm able to kind of take my focus onto my personal life that much more. But yeah, I'll say that it was definitely challenging, because you kind of get caught up in this world, and you call it a second home at first, but then all of a sudden it's like your first home. Yeah. So you got to be careful that on your days off that you're not ending up in the kitchen, or you're not coming into the restaurant thinking about menus and stuff like that. You really want to enjoy that time that you have off with your friends and family.
I would agree.
Values, priorities.
Definitely.
What were the obstacles you went through when you started the business with your mom?
Some of the obstacles, it was really, because I was an only child and a single mom, and, she did a great job raising me while she was running her businesses, but she definitely spoiled me. And, making that transition from the personal to the business, there was like, okay, this isn't your mom, this is your boss. And it really, my mom has always been kind of like an inspiration and a mentor, and my mom as a boss has always been an inspiration and a mentor. So it wasn't too difficult to make that transition, but it was kind of saying like, okay, like this is professional, and you have to approach it that way, because people are going to give you that same respect.
True.
That was a really good answer. I like that. What would you tell someone who would want to start a business like yours, like me, for example?
I would say get ready for a ride, you know what I mean? And there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and you just have to, sometimes just stay focused on the goal that you have, set, and you have to make sure that you have a plan, because any goal without a plan is just kind of like wishful thinking.
Right.
So if you don't have like the strategy and you don't have the plan in place, there's going to be a lot of stress. You might be able to make your way through it, but the swim is going to be that much harder. So I would say plan it out. You know, if you're going to open a business on your own, make sure that you have plenty of experience and make sure that you're pretty well rounded as far as like working in the kitchen and in the front of the house.
Okay.
And you know, I feel like that's where I have some strengths, is because I started in the front of the house and then I ended up in the kitchen.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Interesting. Okay.
How did people take your concept?
Well, you know, people, you know, because we always get voted like most romantic restaurant, so sometimes people aren't really aware of like our culinary ability in the restaurant, and they're just thinking of the farm, and you know, it's an old rustic little farmhouse, and that's great, you know what I mean? And that's totally up to the diner to make it what it is. But I would say that people, you know, they receive our concept when they're looking for this concept. They receive it very well, especially when they come in and they can see the garden on the way in, if there's still a little bit of light out, or if we have the garden well lit, and then we're able to connect those dots. It really just kind of opens people's eyes. You can talk about local farms and stuff like that, but you know, people eat with their eyes in a really big way. So, you know, when people see that walking in and then you tell them that they're 50 yards or they're sitting 50 yards from where we're harvesting these vegetables that are on their plate, that is something that is special, and you could see it in their eyes. And you know, when they take that first bite, you know, their palate is that much more like enhanced because of the experience that's kind of been built up beforehand.
It's an all-around.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, we definitely have like that Italian base as far as our technique, but we're just very eclectic, you know what I mean? We'll pull from all different types of styles, anything that is going to achieve the best plate for the customer, and you know, something that's going to excite my cooks in the kitchen too. We have to make sure that my cooks are feeling creative and excited, and that's why we're always changing up the dishes. I feel like if we always run with the same dishes, it's not going to be as fun, you know, and that creativity is going to be kind of put on hold in a way.
I would agree with that.
A lot of chefs don't want to stem away from what they know.
Right.
And I've worked in kitchens for a while, and I know from my own experience that when I was around the environment that a chef didn't want to be open to change, you know, updating a dish, plating it different, whatever it was, even simple, it makes you lose interest. You're not excited to go to work. It's constant repetition. And, you know, from our culinary school experience, a lot of the people we went to school with talk about the fact that they hate being in the kitchen solely for that reason.
Right.
But we also do understand that a business is a business and it has to run. And we have to learn our experience through those kitchens.
Right.
So there's that unhappy medium, and then there's that one blessing that walks into your life that you're like, okay, this is my moment. I found it. Now I can shine.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. And you know, I have to be careful about having too much of like a chef ego, and I would give that advice to any chef, because you're only as good as your staff, you know what I mean? You're only one person, and even if you're somebody that's extremely talented, you can't work every station in the kitchen. So if you're able to build your staff up as far as like their confidence and their creativity, that's great. The way that I look at it is, you know, I'm the one that's going to bring the idea to the kitchen, but I'm going to have all my guys kind of consult with me, you know what I mean? I want to use the synergy of the kitchen, because, you know, 6 brains is definitely better than 1 brain. There's no getting around that.
Right.
So, you know, I'll formulate a dish, I'll have an idea, I'll get some good momentum going on. It's the job of the kitchen to kind of support that and kind of give me their 2 cents as well. And, you know, if it's something that I like, I'm going to put it on there. If it's something that I don't think it's going to fit in, then I'll let them know, and I'll be honest. I'm not going to be mean about it. But, you know, after I do that first plating and, you know, we send a couple dishes out, I know that's just the beginning. I know within like 3 or 4 days or a week, that dish is going to be that much better.
Right.
You know, and it's going to be that much better because the person that's working it at that station is going to get that muscle memory. He's going to get the feel for that dish. He's going to feel like he has some ownership of that dish too. So he's going to take more care of it because he's that much more territorial of it too. So you have to empower your guys. you got to be careful about being too egotistical because
Right.
it makes the chef look powerful and almighty in the kitchen, but at the same time, it's not going to build up the staff the way you want it
Right.
to.
They need to feel trusted so they can create to their best ability too.
Exactly.
Happy
Exactly.
cooks make happy customers.
Exactly.
100%. So, did you ever want to get away from the kitchen?
You know, it's hard for me to get away from the kitchen, honestly, because we have a month break every summer just because we're such a destination. A lot of our dining's outside, so I take a break during the month of July.
Okay.
And it's tough for me during that month because I'm so anxious, you know. And even though I might be doing a little bit of traveling and
Right.
stuff like that, it's just not that day to day of that grind that I love to do. So yeah, it's really it's tough to keep me out of the kitchen. It really is.
That's how you know it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But like I said, you got to be careful about that. You know
Right.
what I mean? You got to find that balance, and you have to be able to kind of disconnect during the weekends.
Right, 50-50.
Not the weekends, but you know, Sunday and Mondays for us.
Whatever the weekend is for you.
You
yeah.
better be there on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, right.
So, what is your food inspiration from?
My food inspiration is definitely from the whole slow foods movement. You know, just that support of the local and seasonal, and really kind of supporting, you know, the people of your region. I think that's important. You know what I mean? Like, build up your community, build up your state, and that's something that, you know, just kind of builds up over the years.
I love that.
And it's not that easy to just say, okay, I'm going to start a restaurant and I'm going to support local. They're small farmers. They don't really market themselves that well. They don't necessarily have enough product to supply every restaurant that wants to be a part of them. So it takes a minute to kind of build up those relationships, but that's something that really kind of like inspires me. It's just like that whole slow foods movement, kind of really just expressing the flavors of Arizona, not only with the food, but with our wine as well.
I like that, especially now because the wine game is becoming so big here.
Yeah, it's becoming strong,
Yeah.
and you know, it's getting some great ratings when they do blind tastings. You know, against some of the biggest wines, like from Europe too. They're showing very, very well. So give it a little bit more time. I mean, I think it's already on the map, but it's going to explode.
It's definitely becoming what people are saying to be the next Napa, ultimately.
Yes, definitely.
Right. So which item on the menu is your signature dish, and what was the inspiration behind that dish?
Okay, it's we have a couple of signature dishes. I would say like our charcuterie board is our signature dish, just because that represents our concept of the restaurant to the fullest. As far as like supporting the local and seasonal, the whole slow foods movement, and kind of doing everything from scratch.
Right.
So when I say that and I talk about the charcuterie program, I'm talking about purchasing a whole hog from the meat shop. So that's a local purveyor. We've been working with them over the years. They're absolutely fantastic with their beef and their pork. You break that animal down, you cure that meat in-house, then you hang it for months at a time,
Right.
and then you see it, you know, on a board, you know, 3 to 4 months later, and sometimes a year later when you're talking about a prosciutto.
Right.
You know, that is something special. And yeah, it's just something that's kind of unique to this restaurant. I think some restaurants will do bits and pieces of charcuterie in-house, but we do everything in-house as far as the charcuterie.
And it's so unique.
Yes, it is. It is. It's a challenge, you know. It's definitely kind of like that rabbit hole, you know what I mean? But it's a lot of fun, and I think that's something for myself and the cooks that I work with. You're just always that challenge there, you know what I mean? Like, you're never gonna have perfection when you're talking about the charcuterie. There's just so many different factors that kind of play a role in it.
Are you taking those meats that you're doing, are you constantly changing the method? Or is it a similar and consistent strategy to cure and properly uphold those meats?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, there's the recipes that you go off of originally, right? But all of these recipes are coming from different regions, and these different regions, the climate, you know, is a big influence as far as like how hot, how cold it is, the humidity. is a major factor. So you kind of have to, you know, tweak the recipes to the Arizona climate.
Okay.
And that's something that definitely kind of evolves over the years. And yeah, I just see it. You just see it season after season. The charcuterie game gets stronger and stronger.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So thank you for watching, and I'm glad we came to see what you were all about. You have some really interesting feedback, and I really learned a lot from talking today.
I want to personally thank Chef Dustin as well for meeting with us and sitting down with us and showing this beautiful facility. And we're totally inspired by you, and you were probably one of the first people that we wanted to reach out to, because our eyes are on deck all the time for what's the most true, unique, bring it to the table and let people almost have an experience. It's not just about sitting down to eat, it's about understanding where it comes from, relating that to your palate, and then when you eat that food, you can sense like that taste of home almost. And for that, like, we're super grateful, and thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you. I mean, the questions that you guys asked me today were actually very inspiring. So keep that up, and if you keep asking those questions and you're talking to some of the great chefs in the valley, you're gonna learn a lot.
Awesome. Thank you so much
Thank you.
again. Thank you, Blended Family. Stay tuned.
And stay blended.
You're on camera
Let's not say
more
goodbye.
often. So right.